Как футляр из-под очков, нахуй.
Ага.
О, бля!
The Security Service of Ukraine and the National Police detained Russian agents of the Federal Security Service of the Russian Federation who were preparing to blow up buildings of the armed forces of Ukraine and law enforcement agencies in the Kyiv region. According to the investigation, the main targets were the base points of local police units, the Territorial Center of Recruitment and Social Support, and the prosecutor's office. The Russian agents had the right to choose the first object to blow up. It is reported that the Russians had remotely recruited 2 unemployed people from the Kyiv region, a 27-year-old drug addict and his partner, who had been looking for easy money to carry out the attacks. Following the FSB's instructions, they settled in a hostel near Kyiv, where they began to covertly manufacture an improvised explosive device. To make it, the offenders purchased chemical components for the synthesis of explosives, as well as striking elements in the form of metal bolts, nails, and aluminum shavings, the SSU said. Next, the offenders prepared a fire extinguisher, which was to become a container for masking the explosive device. After making the explosives, the offenders planned to report to the Federal Security Service of the Russian Federation on their readiness to commit a crime and get the geolocation for planting it. SSU officers exposed the Russian agents in advance, documented their contacts with the aggressor country's intelligence service and preparations for terrorist attacks. It is reported that the man and woman had been detained red-handed while they had been manufacturing the explosive components for an improvised explosive device. During the search, 2 kilograms of explosives, a fire extinguisher that had been converted into an explosive container, and warheads were seized from them. In addition, the detainees were found to have cell phones with evidence of communication with the Russian FSB, as well as a video recorder, which they were supposed to use to record the planned terrorist attack. The suspects have been served a notice of suspicion under several articles of the Criminal Code of Ukraine. They are in custody. They face up to 12 years in prison with confiscation of property. Russian wanted to show gifts Ukrainian soldiers leave on the trails, but he accidentally stepped on one.
Вот залупа, вот такая вот.
Да поближе покажи, блядь. Как футляр из-под очков, нахуй.
Ага.
О, бля!
Paratroopers of the 46th Separate Airmobile Brigade, on a Husky armored vehicle, dashed directly to the Russian position and manually dropped an anti-tank mine TM-62.
Давай, блядь! Быстрей! Быстрей! Сейчас, второй, быстрее! Быстрей! Все, давай, закрывай на ходу! Быстрее закрывай двери! Что такое там?
Russian nationalist blogger Roman Antonovsky thinks Russia should by no means commit any crimes against civilians. Instead, he suggests Russia focus on sabotage operations in the West. He seems to have missed the memo that Russia has been doing both of these things for years.
Did the Hazel seem like a convincing argument to you?
Maybe he would have been a bit clearer if he had flown a little further west, maybe somewhere near the border with Poland there. I think that unlike, the West or, the Ukrainians, we should by no means commit any crimes against civilians. But I believe that it's quite possible, that it's quite necessary and possible to switch to certain sabotage against our pro-Skripnikov and against military objects, including in Western Europe. That is, it's time to conduct certain sabotage operations.
The Russian command sent assaultmen to the positions of the Ukrainian military in Zaporizhzhia. The 2nd Mountain Assault Battalion of the 128th Mountain Assault Brigade said that the Russians had used armored vehicles with ATVs in the assault. In particular, the Russians sent BMD-4 airborne assault vehicles, which are usually used by airborne troops. To destroy these forces, the Ukrainian military used artillery and attack drones. The enemy decided to test how far they could drive a BMD-4 and ATVs. It turned out not very far. They received an unwanted upgrade from our artillery and drones, the military said. The attack took place near the village of Pyatikhatki in the Zaporizhzhia region. This village was liberated by the Ukrainian military in 2023 during the offensive. Recently, Ivan Fedorov, head of the Zaporizhzhia Regional Military Administration, said that there was a threat of an offensive in one direction remote from Zaporizhzhia. The enemy is planning an offensive in one direction remote from Zaporizhzhia. We are aware of this and are preparing. The enemy will fail once again, he emphasized. At the same time, Fedorov added that it was impossible to say that there was no threat to the city. We cannot say that there is no threat to Zaporizhzhia, but there is no threat for the next 3 months, 6 months, because the enemy has no forces that we cannot overcome. The defenders who are defending the Zaporizhzhia front line are heroes who continue to destroy the enemy, Fedorov said. According to him, the number of defense structures has increased 100-fold over the past year. In recent developments in the Zaporizhzhia region, Ukrainian forces have continued their offensive operations, particularly near the village of Robotyne. Despite facing fortified Russian defenses, including extensive minefields, Ukrainian troops have made incremental gains, advancing between 300 to 500 meters southward. These efforts aim to disrupt Russian supply lines and weaken their defensive positions. However, the situation remains fluid, with both sides sustaining casualties amid ongoing artillery exchanges and drone attacks. The United States is restoring Northfield Air Base on Tinian Island, which has not been used since World War II, reported the War Zone. Previously, this airfield was a base for B-29 long-range bombers that carried out air raids on Imperial Japan, including dropping atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. During World War II, Northfield had 4 runways, parking spaces for more than 500 aircraft, and other infrastructure to support about 40,000 military personnel. The restoration of the base is a joint effort of the U.S. Navy and Air Force. A series of satellite images by Planet Labs, taken between December 3, 2023 and January 29, 2025, demonstrates the extent of the reconstruction. The images show the clearing of runways, taxiways, and other infrastructure. Tinian is one of the 14 islands that make up the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, which is under U.S. jurisdiction. The island is located in the western Pacific Ocean, about 120 miles northeast of Guam. In the 2000s and 2010s, the U.S. military had already partially restored Northfield to expand its use in training missions. In particular, one section of the base was used for forward deployment exercises. As a reminder, in late October 2024, the United States Army, together with its allies, conducted exercises in the Pacific Ocean to rapidly deploy troops to the islands.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.